Ladies and gentlemen, children of the interwebs out there, Sebastian Envy, Sean Style, Cinephi. We got ourselves a trailer for Transformers 1. Let's geek about it for a scant few minutes now. It debuted in this some sort of like in-space gimmick that they were doing. I didn't really understand it, didn't really care. But we got ourselves a look at the trailer. This is an origin story telling the tale of how D-112 becomes Megatron and Orion Pax becomes Optimus Prime. We've seen the tale told before. In the beginnings of Transformers, like G1, I'm a G1 guy to the fullest, of course. There wasn't this sort of layered, nuanced sort of relationship put forth between Prime and Megatron pre, Cybertronian War. We never got to see that sort of thing. Wasn't really top of mind at the time. Back in the 80s, they were just selling toys. But in recent years and recent media, they've really kind of leaned into that, kind of flesh out the conflict between the two big guns of the Autobots and the Decepticons, and I like that. Gives it a little bit more to it than just good guys versus bad guys. Gives them reason for doing what they're doing, and this is just another take on it, because we saw a take, and we've seen takes in the comics. We saw a take on Transformers Prime, and this is just a different take on it. So I'm curious to kind of see where they're going to go with it, because we know the tale, but if this serves as something to introduce a new audience to the Transformers and thus keeping the Transformers and all their stories and all the characters going, I'm all for it. Like I said, G1 to the fullest, but G1 was made in like early to mid 80s, so I know everybody can't rock with that, and that's okay. So if we can bring a new generation of Transformer fans into the fold, let's do that. And Alita 1 is in it, voiced by Scarlett Johansson. B-127 is in it, voiced by Keegan-Michael Key. And it's just, I'm glad we're going with, I'm glad, again, introducing a new generation of fans to the Transformers, so we can get back to this new generation knowing that Bumblebee can talk. And having Bumblebee talk, I said the stupid beepity beep and talking through the radio and all that kind of crap that Michael Bay just ruined a generation of fans on with that fucking nonsense. So now, he can talk, but having Keegan-Michael Key be the voice of Bumblebee, I don't know, I felt like, unless I'm misremembering, I swear I saw an interview where he was saying he was trying to bring something different to doing the voice of Bumblebee, or B-127, who, like Megatron just says, we're going to call you B. And it just sounds like Keegan-Michael Key doing a voice of Bumblebee, so I don't know what sort of different thing he's doing with it. What we find out in it, they kind of live below the surface of Cybertron. You don't want to go on the surface because it's dangerous. We find out that the Quintessons are involved. Maybe they bombed the shit out of the surface, made them go underground at some point in time. We don't know the story of how the Quintessons like figure into this. Now we know in some mediums it's been the Quintessons who were the creators of the Transformers, so are they going that route where they were created for reasons, and they've kind of, as they've gotten autonomous, they've developed personalities and thoughts and desires and hopes and dreams and feelings and all that kind of stuff, and they're just kind of rising up against the Quintessons. But then of course we see in the trailer where Megatron sees the image of like the Decepticon logo, so it's like, how, if he starts off the way he does he get pulled into the fold of the Decepticons? Like, really, because like, again, buddy cop sort of vibe, funny shenanigans from the get-go, into Megatron hates Optimus Prime. It's like, how are we going to get there in the span of like a hour and 40-minute movie that looks like if you took Transformers and you put Pixar in a room with some wine and champagne and some sexy music, and they had some sexy fun time, this is what they would create. Like, this movie, like, it very much has a Transformers if done by Pixar vibe. Like I said, there are jokes and stuff, little visual gags related to their powers, and or them obtaining transforming cog and being able to transform. The more than meets the eye is, of course, thrown in there. I don't wonder if at some point Prime is going to say transform and roll out. I don't know. Brian Tyree Henry is interesting to hear as Megatron. Again, he's not murdery, like killer Megatron. He's just like Buddy Megatron. So Buddy Megatron with Buddy Orion Pax, who's voiced by Chris Helmsworth, who's, decent voice. I'm curious if they do any sort of modulation or anything to when he transforms into, or when he becomes Optimus Prime. Lawrence Fishburne is Alpha Trion. Suitable job. He's the one that gives them their T-Cogs, as we see in the trailer. So I'm not spoiling anything. But overall, it was just an interesting trailer. It didn't really give too many story nuggets. It was just mainly giving us a piece of the style that this movie is going to be in, some of the voice work, and some of the gags. So like I said, it's very, very Pixar-ish. But as I said in the beginning, if it introduces a new generation of fans to Transformers and thus keeping Transformers alive and going and progressing and making sure that Bumblebee fucking talks from here to forever, I'm all for it. It's coming later this year. Remains to be seen how it kind of turns out. So those are some of my thoughts on it, scattered as they often are. What do you guys out there think? Let me know in the comments below. Follow me on social media. Talk to me there. Talk to me here, of course. And always, let us geek.